haven't been on the road long. Rich data on how those batteries perform is not readily available. And the ability to have that data live and not wait for a trip back from Pikes Peak or a trip back from somewhere else in Colorado to start to analyze it is a very powerful concept.
Anytime someone goes to visit their doctor, the doctor looks at some fundamental metrics at any given point in time, whether it's your temperature, your blood pressure, pulse, other vitals. You know, maybe he does blood work and gets a chemistry of some of the composition of your blood. You think about the advantage of this living thing. To some of it's really a living thing here, of assessing it during its development process as you're enhancing it, refining it, as you're tying events that occur as you're running durability of the vehicles or other tests, and then assessing what's happening to the vehicle in different duty cycles and drive profiles. Now extend that, the learnings you can get from that instantaneous ability to collect data, analyze it, and solve the data given the challenges inherent in the Volt program. Now extend that into the concept of perhaps maybe someday there's effectively a battery doctor on board, if you will, when the vehicle gets in the customer's hands and the like. It's just something very, very unique to what we can deliver with the Volt because of the OnStar partnership.
Now, are you developing a production Volt OnStar hardware and software system in parallel with this, or is what you have right now going to be production level when the Volt comes out?
So the OnStar module in this Volt is a production intent OnStar module, and then we'll offer all the services you've become familiar with, and perhaps more. We use that in pre-production to do the things we've talked about with this dashboard.
So is the production intent hardware and software in this the same as on the road now in other vehicles, or what's the difference? And what's the change in memory? What's the change in processor capability?
No, it's the same.
Same?
It's the same.
Could you give us an example?
Just to add to that, the individual software levels of those modules do vary. Some of these vehicles are up on hoist, some of them are being changed out with newer versions of software and firmware, newer calibrations. So the vehicles are very much in flux at this stage in the Volt development at GM. And that's part of the value we bring, is pulling that data out, not just diagnostics and performance data, but pulling out the configuration or the manifest, if you will, of that vehicle, so you can compare it to other vehicles that are also in flux.
Are you doing any software updates on the fly through the cellular network, or is that all done by engineers on the vehicle directly?
Today, at this early stage, I think what you'll see on the GM side, I can't speak for them, but I think that's a very common thing to see, swapping modules. The vehicles are very much in flux. So,
And down the road?
down the road, I think you'll see that connectivity. That's a great application. We have a very strong connectivity platform. We've been doing it over 13 years, and I think if anybody could do that, it'd be something that we should do.
Do existing OnStar systems in current vehicles now do software patches, updates, add functions, etc. to the network?
I didn't hear. I'm sorry. I didn't hear the question.
Sorry. Do existing OnStar systems in current vehicles sold today get patched or have new software functions added through the cellular network?
That's something I don't know. Maybe Tim, you want to take it. I don't know that directly.
That particular topic is something that we really don't talk about too much. We do have the capacity, obviously, to reach out and touch the vehicle, perform things like calibrations of our own product, potentially some minor calibration work with other products within the vehicle. That's probably the extent that we can really talk about that at this point. But certainly when you talk about the connectivity elements and what we've got with the kind of wireless connectivity that we're providing and the connection into the vehicle, we certainly have a lot of potential looking forward to the future. And that's something that I think probably is best to kind of stay tuned for, and we'll talk about that as that unfolds as time comes.
As you move forward and begin adding more and more services that are EV or plug-in specific via OnStar, will there be differentiation in the basic system set? In other words, will there be an OnStar system for internal combustion engine vehicles and an OnStar system for plug-in vehicles?
I think it's probably safe to say that the OnStar system, the hardware itself that's been created, we've designed it to be flexible enough so that it can work within an existing internal combustion engine architecture as well as the Volt, for example. This hardware, as Dana mentioned, it's not really unique. We have upgraded it for this coming model year, and there will be some features that come along with that upgrade. But for the most part, the hardware is designed to work within the vehicle electrical architecture and within the infrastructure, and we design it in a way so that it can flexibly interact with the kind of powertrain that's existing on the vehicle.
Things like one of the key things that we found driving electric vehicles with maps and things, a lot of your charge and your efficiency is based on regen. And yet with battery management strategies and hybrids now, you find yourself often, for example, climbing hills with the engine running full tilt. When you know you're going to be going back down the other hill on the other side, the batteries are full, they don't have the capacity to take the amount of regen that they could. It's not as efficient as you could. Will you be mapping GPS data with topographical data, for example, things like that to help maximize the efficiency of the vehicle?
Well, that's another one of those areas that certainly is an area for exploration. I don't think we're ready to talk about that in particular today. I think Tony could probably tell you more about the vehicle itself.
For the launch of the Volt, that capability is not in place. But the feasibility of doing something like that is being studied. Look at the potential application of Volts in the future. The point is very important in that EV customers want to manage their energy, want to be efficient, are probably, at least in the early stages, a little bit more on the early adopter or technically astute side, very into the data. And so OnStar is an enabling tool for us. And so the data we pull off here today that Dana shared with you is stuff that our engineers use. In a future chapter, the OnStar Volt story, this wonderful marriage, and if you don't know Walt will address you later, new president of OnStar, will be rolled out over time, but I think you'll understand that the fundamentals and the foundation had to be laid because I think, frankly, the understanding of what OnStar is historically, today, and in the future has to be developed and fully understood before you can make the leap and say, okay, this connectivity tool that exists, how does it work with the car, how does it work with an EV, and how does it work with the greater world around it? Customers, utilities, etc. So this is a little bit the story that we're telling, but I think from the questions that we're getting, you guys already see the opportunities and possibilities, and I'm going to tell you, stay tuned. There will be more stories here coming forward on this. That today is the foundation of the house, the ground level, what we're doing in development, and what we're doing from understanding the customer and the like, and more to come.
On a simpler basis, would you be doing things like mapping charging stations for the Volts in GPS data for OnStar customers, either via actual map screens or via your...
If you know where those charging stations are, we'll be happy to get that information. Okay. Number one charging station for us is the home, and then we're going to get that right first. And there's some things that we're going to do to support that. And obviously, there's some OnStar capabilities that already exist with the regular monthly emails that you can expect, because we're pulling wonderful, rich data from the data bus and the like that will provide that, because that's more EV-related data. So that's just one snippet and sample of things that will come with Volt. And I think the reason why we're here, the reason why this is appropriately dubbed the EV Lab, is we have a very wonderful and concerted team effort on this. And you'll see some of the features perhaps first rolled out on a Volt, but some of those features can certainly immediately be transitioned to other GM products. And I think that's the way we're going to